What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from AmericanMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and I'm still rolling out my best of 2024 lists, and I'm getting into the heavy hitters here. So, you can already check out Best Director, Best First Time Feature, Best uh, Documentary, Best Horror, and I've done the worst films of the year. I have the film list that I've done thus far. Today we're going to tackle Best Supporting Actress. And I call it a top 10 because there's a top 10 here, but like everyone else who's done a top 10, you can click on those lists. They always have honorable mentions, so I have honorable mentions. So this is really like a top 20. I gotcha. So I did will it down. I didn't. It's just not like a list of names. It just goes on and on for days. So let's get cracking. Kicking off, I guess at number 20 at the bottom of my honorable mentions list is the person who's probably going to win. And I kind of obligatorily put her here because I support the idea of her being nominated. It's hard for me to enjoy the movie and her performance. But kicking off at number 20 is Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Yeah, her performance, at least I was able to get a little bit out of because there was a little bit in English. The rest of it is sort of like dubbed through audio description and stuff like that. But I like Zoe as an actress, and I don't want to take away her Oscar nomination. I just personally, these are my awards, these are my lists, and I don't have to answer to anybody here. So she does not have to be at the top of my list. But I gave her kind of the final spot on the honorable mentions list. Number 19, Margaret Qualley for The Substance. This may seem low. I really do think Demi Moore is the star of that movie. I think Margaret was great, but I also, the takeaway from that movie for me was not that we should love and appreciate Margaret Qualley, the young thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was not my takeaway from The Substance. So anyway, but yes, I've seen The Substance twice, so I'm well informed on Margaret Qualley's performance, and I did want to make sure she made the cut. Moving up the list, number 18, Joan Chen for Dee Dee. It's not the most obvious performance. Some people got behind it. It's kind of a subdued performance. She's definitely not the star of Dee Dee. I liked her work in Dee Dee. And she could have been recognized in a few more places. Would have made a little bit more impact. But anyway, Joan Chen for Dee Dee. Number 17 is Isabella Rossellini for Conclave. Again, not a ton of screen time. The movie's not about her, but yeah, the couple of scenes she's in, she's really good in them. So she gets to make the honorable mentions list. There's no doubt. Again, she's never been nominated for an Academy Award, and I would not take that away from her. She deserves to be nominated for an Academy Award. Number 16. Isabella Olsen from Fancy Dance. This is the girl from Fancy Dance. I'm one of the few people, I'm one of the 5 people that saw Fancy Dance, apparently. So I thought the little girl from Fancy Dance did a really good job. She's playing somebody who's being raised by her aunt. Her mother's missing. She has to go off sort of on this journey, and her grandparents kind of come and take her. And anyway, it's such an interesting performance from a young star that I wish was recognized more. So she made my list. Number, what am I at, 15? Carla Gugino for Lisa Frankenstein in one of the least talked performances of the year. I thought she was delightful in Lisa Frankenstein. She was an early standout for me. Watching her in that movie, she was devilishly good. It was such a good role for her. It felt like it was a role that was written for Carla Gugino, and she just nailed it. I'm so happy for that performance. I know Lisa Frankenstein didn't land with a lot of people, but I adored her performance here and constantly unappreciated for her work. So moving up the list, number 14, Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown. I liked Monica's performance. It's funny because I actually predicted her in November. I'm going to keep saying that because I predicted her before I think anybody else. We were sitting here doing our best supporting actress video, and I put her in my 5. And I think Alex thought I was crazy at the time, and I ended up being right. What a swing! What a swing! What a swing! What a swing, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, she was great in that movie. Not in a ton, but I did love her performance in that. So moving up the list, number 13? Jessie Buckley for Wicked Little Letters. It's debatable as to who's the lead of Wicked Little Letters. I put her in supporting, thinking Olivia Colman would be running lead. I didn't get to see what the FYC campaign for this was. Wicked Little Letters never really got off the ground. I thought it was cute. I've seen the movie twice. So I once was without audio description and I got it with audio description. So, and I liked Jessie Buckley both times. I thought she gave a really strong performance in both iterations. So I really loved her performance. Moving up the list. Julia Louis-Dreyfus for Tuesday. I liked his performance. I think I'm the only person who liked Tuesday. I've had a couple other people who are like, oh, the movie was terrible. And I've seen it it doesn't seem to have registered with people. I don't know. I thought it was quirky and fun and an interesting perspective from a relatively new director. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus has been trying to do more dramatic work. Last year she had You Hurt My Feelings. This year she had Tuesday. I'm enjoying what she's doing and what she's putting out there in the world. Yeah, she never quite seems to be enough to really break into an awards race, but I'm keeping an eye on the performances. I think she's really doing some nice work. So moving up the list. Alana Graham from Furiosa. This is young Furiosa, in case you're wondering. Again, debatable as to which Furiosa is actually the lead of Furiosa, but they did build kind of Anya Taylor-Joy as the lead of Furiosa. So this version of Furiosa got in supporting, but it's a very strong performance. You can't look at this and go, that's not a strong performance. Yes, I have 2 child actresses in here. Look at that. Look at that. I recognize youth performance. So, I mean, like, it's mostly silent. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's the strong silent type for like an hour of the movie. I've seen Furiosa twice, and I'm impressed with this girl, and I hope she goes on to do great things. So moving up the list. Now we're in the top 10, and I think this is my final child performer. This is Alicia Weir for Abigail. Man, she was good. Alicia Weir was also in Wicked Little Letters this year. I've seen Abigail twice. So this was a performance that benefited definitely from me coming back around to it later on in the year and looking at it and being like, was it really that? Oh, yes, it was. It actually was that good. I actually did like Abigail that much. And Alicia Weir is very fun in it. And talk about being able to balance the like, oh, I'm a scared little girl into the, fuck you. I'm going to kill you now. She was great in Matilda too. This is a bright young actress who's proving herself every time she steps out of the gate, in my opinion. So happy to have her in my top 10. I know it's a weird I don't think anybody else has her for Abigail on their bingo card. So I do. Number 9 is Katie O'Brien for Love Lies Bleeding. What a pleasant surprise. I thought she was great in Love Lies Bleeding. Just, fresh performance. Didn't know anything about Katie O'Brien. Now I'm sort of like on the lookout for more performances from Katie O'Brien and seeing where else she will land in the future. As well as I think most people are kind of like, well, where else is she gonna, see how else she'll be used in the future. But good performance. Anyway, moving up the list, number 8. Tilda Swinton for Problemista. Yes, I loved her in Problemista. I loved her in Problemista. I'm not ashamed to say that. I thought she was devilishly good, delightful, just uh what a what a performance. I mean, she was like it was a love to hate it thing, and you could say inspired by um Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada, but I would also say, does Tilda Swinton ever strike you as anybody who ever inspires like from anything else? I think Tilda likes big swings. I think she purposefully takes on roles in things where she can disappear into roles. I don't think she likes to be boxed in. I think she likes to take on things. All of her roles this year are sort of wildly different. Although I guess Problemist and The End are somewhat close because they're both sort of people who are uh, affluent, I guess, in nature. And I guess you could find that in The Room Next Door. Maybe she played a lot of affluent characters this year, but they all come from different angles. I mean, one's a musical, the other one is dying, and this one is a boss ass, like, anyway, I love Tilda, so watch Problemist for Tilda, if for no other reason. Moving up the list, number 7. Felicity Jones for The Brutalist. But it could be. She could be. Yeah, 7. It's just I like the performances above her a little bit better. It's not that I don't like Felicity Jones. The problem with Felicity Jones and the reason why I ended up putting her at 7 instead of higher is how much of The Brutalist works without her. Like, it's weird to have that in there, but I would say even some of the actresses below Felicity Jones, the film doesn't work without them. Like, they kind of make the movie. Alicia Weir makes Abigail. The young girl from Furiosa helped make If she was bad, you'd be sitting there for an hour going, fuck me, when is Anya Taylor-Joy going to show up? But Felicity Jones comes in at the end. Like, you're already into The Brutalist, And then she just kind of comes in and she swings at the end and she's like, hey, what's up? I'm Felicity Jones and I'm going to give you a great performance. And I think maybe that's why I have her at 7. I thought The Brutalist was great, and then they added Felicity Jones. It's like the movie was already great, and just okay, we got some chocolate frosting on top of it. Cool, I like chocolate frosting. So anyway, moving up the list, number 6. Dolly De Leon from Ghostlight. Yes, I like Ghostlight. I thought Dolly had a really nice subdued performance. Obviously, she gained some buzz a couple years back for Triangle of Sadness. Didn't quite pan out for her, but she was the standout of that. I thought she was really good in Ghostlight. So she's number 6 for me here. Number 5. Who is in the top 5? This is essentially who I would have put in the Oscar nominations. We're getting into that range. So number 5, who would I have nominated for the Oscar? Jamie Lee Curtis for The Last Showgirl. Because hear me out, I actually thought she was better in The Last Showgirl than she was in Everything Everywhere All at Once. However, I did not know The Last Showgirl was coming, so I supported her nomination. I don't think she should have won. Jamie Lee Curtis is one of my favorite actresses, so that's hard for me to say. But I think there were better performances that year, and I think the fact that she was nominated was good enough. I actually think her performance in The Last Showgirl has more depth to it than her performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Anyway, that's my hot take. So, yes, I would actually, even though she's barely trended and she seems like an afterthought to Pamela Anderson's performance, I actually think there's something to it, which is why she's getting nominated. I don't think people are just giving her like checking off a box because all of a sudden they're like, well, now we like Jamie Lee Curtis, so we're going to nominate her for things. It's like, no, she's actually good in Last Showgirl. Anyway, moving up the list. Number 4. Ariana Grande from Wicked. I think you were probably worried because every other person who's nominated for an Oscar is lower, that Ariana wasn't going to make the list. I was not worried about Ariana being in Wicked. I knew this girl loved Wicked and she was going to go out there and sing her face off. The only problem I ever had with Wicked was that it was being from the director of In the Heights. That was my problem with Wicked. So I didn't walk into Wicked with like the, oh my god, she can act. It's like, I actually remembered that Ariana Grande started on Broadway in a musical called 13. So this is her zone. I don't know why everybody thinks it's not her zone. She's from here. You know, some of the actresses who end up in musicals actually work on Broadway, like Anna Kendrick. Like, do your research. So, um, yeah, it's not the same thing as handing, I don't know, to some random actor who's never done music theater before and suddenly they're in a movie, or some random pop star. They act like they just gave it to like Britney Spears or something. It's just like, no, no, this girl's been on Broadway. She's also sung Wicked. I was never, and I thought she was delightful as Glinda. And uh, yeah, for me, I think the thing about Elphaba is that we've had so many great Elphabas over the years. In Wicked, so many people have had their careers break out playing Elphaba on stage. Less so for Glinda. So Glinda pretty much has been defined by Kristen Chenoweth all these years, and not as many names. So Ariana has less people, but you can have a whole bunch of different your favorite Elphabas if you're a Wicked fan. You might have a different favorite Elphaba other than Adina Menzel. I don't know how many people do the same thing, same comparison thing with Glinda. So when Ariana came, it was a little bit easier for her to be compared at the top. And I think she earned it. I think she got there. So moving up the list to number 3, Carol Kane for Between the Temples. This was a delightful performance that I didn't see coming. I didn't know this movie was coming. I didn't know this movie was happening. I flew under the radar. It just kind of died in August, and I didn't know anything about it. And then I saw her, what did she won something, or she was nominated at something, and I was like, Carol Kane for Between the Temples? What the hell is that? I had no idea. So then I finally got to watch it, and I was like, oh, this is delightful. I love this, and she's fantastic in this. And this is a performance that needed more traction. Carol is up there in years. It would have been so nice to see her get an Oscar nomination. Um, yeah, I mean, as fun as it was to be right for Monica Barbaro, Monica's young and she's going to have more performances. I if we had suddenly just nominated Carol Kane for Between the Temples, I would have been so happy, because I don't know how many more performances like this are going to be given to Carol Kane. So I wish she had been recognized a little bit more, but she's still only my number 3. Who are my top 2? You're asking yourself. You're going through your list in your head, and you're thinking, well, here are some names he hasn't said yet. Some of them I'm not going to say because I didn't, they just didn't make the list. Sorry. Yeah, Aunjanue Ellis Taylor didn't do anything for me at Nickel Boys. She's not on the list. So if you're waiting for Aunjanue Ellis Taylor to break through, she did not make my top 20. So my number 2 is Natasha Lyonne from His Three Daughters. I thought this was Natasha's best dramatic work. First of all, she's been turning in solid performances now for a while in, like Russian Doll, and then Poker Face. But to see her really blossom in His Three Daughters, I thought she stole that movie. I think part of the problem was there was confusion as to where she was being submitted, because she kept appearing in supporting actress, even though Netflix was running an FYC for her in lead, which I thought was really misguided. I think if they had run and committed to a campaign in supporting, just all 3 actresses in supporting, Natasha would have continued to stand out, and she might have actually gotten in somewhere. But it was a very confusing campaign. I'm keeping her in supporting because I don't think that there is. They're either all lead or they're all supporting. They have equal screen time, so to put one up above the others is really weird. And for me, I thought Natasha was the far standout of that movie. Just heartbreaking performance as the daughter who stayed. You know, the daughter who has always been around, the daughter who's there. And yeah, it would have been really nice to hear Natasha Lyonne this year too, but maybe someday. So who's my number one? You bet your ass. You bet your ass she is. She's been my number one for a while now. And it's Danielle Detweiler for The Piano Lesson. I loved her in this. Loved her in this, loved her in this. Danielle Detweiler for The Piano Lesson is my pick for Best Supporting Actress of the Year. I don't care. Like I said, I'm not a voting body. I can pick whoever I want. I don't care that she barely gained traction. That's their problem. Listen, Danielle's fantastic, and she's been great in everything. She's completely unnecessary in Carry On. I'll stand by that. But her character, not her, like as an actress, but like her whole thing is the least interesting part of Carry On, unfortunately. But even From Scratch that she did with Zoe Saldana, the Netflix limited series, she's fantastic in that. This girl is swinging every time out of the gate. She was great in Till. I didn't have her for Till that year as my best actress because I thought there were stronger performances. This year, I do think she is the strongest supporting actress performance that I watched. I saw her, it felt like she was running laps around all those guys. I mean, she's, in some ways it feels almost like she's a lead because she's the most featured female character in The Piano Lesson, but she's very much supporting, and she goes toe to toe with everybody in that cast, and she has all these interesting interactions, and the movie kind of rests on her at the end, and I loved her performance. I thought she was great, and she deserves this. Sorry, Daniela, I can't give you a real award, but you are my pick for Best Supporting Actress of 2024. Anyway, that's it. So, hope you like the list. Let me know what you agree or disagree with in the comments. Yell at me about not putting Audrey Ellis Taylor on it. I don't know. I feel like that's probably the biggest one that had been floated as a possibility that I didn't put on the list. Otherwise, it's just going to be more people who are like, where are the rest of the ladies from Emilia Perez? And like, I didn't love that movie, and it's hard for me to put performances in here that are dubbed, essentially. Like, I'm getting some through subtitles. Again, Blind Film Critic is just going to have different votes than a cited one. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.